All right, guys, welcome to today's podcast. Today we'll be speaking about opti splitters, how, where, when, and why. But first, let's cover the nomenclature of the unit. This is one form of an opto splitter. Now, they're pronounced opto splitter, but I call it opti splitter. It's not an error, it's just the way that I talk, and you'll probably hear me call it opti splitter, and then in an attempt to sound somewhat proper, opto splitter here and there. These units normally come in 4, 6, or 8 channels. What it does is it takes the signal that comes from the lighting controller, whether it be a hardware board or whether it be from software, and it takes that symbol and it puts it into the in right here. But first we turn it on with the power. That is the in, that is the out for daisy chaining them, and these are the channels. These lights right here indicate this would be for channel 1, whether DMX is present, 2, whether DMX is present, and so forth throughout the all 8 channels. When the signal is input through the board, it is split down to these 8 different branches on here, and it's duplicated. So the same exact signal that's coming in is going to appear on every one of these branches. And also understand that these branches, if one goes out, the other one does not. It still keeps working. They're 100% independent of each other. The branches are also amplified. The signal is amplified for the use in long distance runs, so there's no degradation in the signal at all. And we've talked a lot about this and that going wrong with long distance runs. But remember, guys, in long distance runs, we are not discussing 25, 50, or even 100 feet. DMX signal is good to about 900 to 1,000 feet when it's being sent down the line. Okay, so even if this wasn't amplified in some of the smaller venues that we do, this would work just fine. But this and many of the units are amplified. The DMX out, where we daisy chain to the next DMX splitter, is not amplified. That is considered a passive line. Let's take a look at how it all works. Before we continue with this, I want to clear up a mistake that was made. I mistakenly told you in video 1, terminology, and video 2, which would have been addressing, that when you daisy chain, we can have 33 fixtures on a line. That was incorrect. It is 32 fixtures. I already know this. I don't know why I made that kind of an error. Possibly because I used to be a scuba instructor. And the number 33 is relevant in teaching scuba diving from basic entry level all the way up through mixed gas, very technical stuff. So I'm not sure. Maybe that was it. My bad. So here is a typical DMX unit, controller, output DMX line going to the input on the opti splitter. And then we have lines from channel 1 all the way through channel 8. They're running a single line to a single light. Now, if it was me, I would be running a line here and having 4 lights on that line. Remember, we can have up to 32 on it. But for simplicity, they're showing 1 light per line. So if you used 32 lights on each one of these branches right here, okay, and there's 8 branches, that would be 256 lights. It sounds good, but you would have also used up 256 channels if each light only worked on 1 channel. And most lights work on a lot more than 1 channel, so it's not really very practical, especially where you can see if you daisy chain over to this one and did the same thing, you would have 512 lights, but you would have used up an entire universe of lights, available channels, and you would be able to have 1 color and control over 1 thing on each of the lights. And that, by the way, is a discussion for our next video where we are going to go into universes. So Just let that sit in your head for a little while, and next week we'll get everything clarified between this video and that one, and it'll all come together for you. Opti splitters come in all different sizes and shapes. Big variety of them out there, so let's take a look at a few of the most common ones. This unit here is considered a truss mount Opti splitter. It's got a cutaway here and a little depression all the way down, and it fits nicely on the pipe of a truss. It'll sit on there, and it has these Velcro bands that go around it, and you tighten them up to secure it up there. Now, believe me, I would have an extra big, long tie strap going around here, particularly if this is going to be over top of somebody's head, like one of those drummer guys. Let's say you were running six fixtures. You could put this close to the middle of the truss, and you could plug in 3 of them, probably direct or with a short little DMX cord to make them a little bit longer, or you could have, let's say, 6 on each side of the truss. So you're going to put this on one side of the truss, and then you can plug those in directly, and you can run DMX lines down here to plug the other 3 in, or you could run 1 on one side of the truss, 1 on the other, go down here to your output and daisy chain to it, and use really short DMX cords to keep it super neat. This one we already looked at. I call it the hanging type because of this bracket over here. You can run some tie straps through it or however you decide to mount it, and it can dangle from a truss, a tree. It could sit flat on the floor, whatever you want to do with it. Now the next one is one that might appeal to a bunch of you guys out there. And that is because I call it the inexpensive type. Okay, this might be an inexpensive unit right here, but I run one of these and I've never had any problems with it. Even though it's inexpensive, it still works as a signal amplifier. The way this one works is it's got holes over here. You could mount it to a board, you mount it on a wall, wherever you want. And you've got your 4 outputs here. You've got 4 outputs on the other side, and that's your input. The only drawback with this unit is it has an input and not an output. So if you were daisy chaining these units together, this would have to be the last one in the chain, and you would not be able to use likewise units to daisy chain. This is considered a rack mount style, where you can see the holes right here. They can go into a rack. I employ 2 of these. One is on the ground and the other one is up on the truss. These are good Opti splitters right here. These also amplify the signal. The next one that I'm going to show you is going to lead us into talking about some of the rules of using these units. And yes, there are rules. For all you rebel rule breakers out there, follow the rules. This is another rack mount style. This is an 8 channel. This is channel 1. As you can see, this is channel 2. The difference between this and the other ones are the 2 outputs. It offers 3-pin or 5-pin. Now here's the rule. You can use the 3-pin or you can use the 5-pin, but you can't use both of them. Okay, this is 8 outputs. If you try to use 1 on each one and get 16 outputs, you're trying to cheat the house. We all know what happens in Vegas if you try to cheat the house, huh? Our next rule is that we do not use cable Y splitters. Cable Y splitters, number 1, are made for audio, and they actually split the signal big time. They don't duplicate the signal. Each output on here will not duplicate the signal. Okay. Again, it just splits it, and when it splits it, there's degradation to the signal, and you're going to get flashing and all kinds of weird things. It's not going to work. That's what happens. It's a big no, no, no. Don't do it. The next one is not really a rule so much. It's don't make a bumbling mistake. These 2 pieces of hardware control 2 universes. Universe 1 here, universe 2 over here. If a light is assigned, in other words, addressed and assigned through the software in the lighting controller to universe 1, you cannot put it into universe 2. It's pretty good odds that the address for it in universe 1 is not going to be the address for it in universe 2. You're going to hook it up, you're going to go back to your board, and you're going to be pulling your hair out when the light doesn't come on. So save yourself some trouble. A standard rule with these units are to make sure that everything is plugged in and powered before you actually plug in and turn on the splitter. So you want to make sure your DMX output lines are running to a light, and you want to make sure said lights are powered. If you don't do it that way every time, is it going to fry the splitter? Probably not. Can it? The manufacturers all say yes. Why do we want to use Opti splitters? There's other ways to do it. You can daisy chain all the racks. Let's talk about it. Okay, they come in particularly handy in a larger venue. Let's say you have a lighting stand over here, a lighting stand here, a lighting stand here, and a lighting stand here. Here you have your Opti splitter, and you have a fairly short line that's going up into the stand. The only long line that you have at this point is the one coming from the controller to the stage. Same thing with this stand. A fairly short line is going into it. Then out of the Opti splitter, you're going to run a line over here to the input on another one. So we're daisy chaining 2 Opti splitters together. And we're going to do the same thing on this side with short lines as we did on the other side. It just makes it a whole lot easier, neater. Everybody wants to tear down the show and go to the post-show celebration. That gets you there quicker. Another reason to use Opti splitters is to make troubleshooting a lot easier. These are lights, guys, okay? If there's something that can go wrong with a light, it will. They're like Murphy's Law. If it can go wrong, it will go wrong. They rely on computers and digital signals being sent, and there's a whole host of things that can go wrong. So we want to make troubleshooting as easy as we can, because believe me, if you stay in this, doing this, you're going to be doing some troubleshooting. Let's say we're at our control board, I would say one morning, but one evening, and we push this fader up, and this light doesn't work. Okay, so now we leave the control board and we walk over to our Opti splitter. And there we are. Okay, so we look here on the indicators and we can see that DMX signal is present right here. All right, now we walk over to the light. Okay, we're at the light and we now see that we have a blinking light on the back of the light that indicates that DMX has actually reached the light. What does that tell you? There's something wrong with the light. Maybe it's gone from, it's supposed to be in 11 channels and it inadvertently switched down to 9 channels. How do we know that that didn't happen? Can it happen? Yes. Is it likely? Not often, but it does happen. There could be something else wrong with the light. Anything internally could be wrong with the light. Good idea to make sure it's powered, but if you're seeing a number and a little dot that's not flashing, it's powered. Next scenario. We walk up and we see that there is power right here at the DMX port. It's putting power out. It's going to the light. We look on the back of the light and there's no power. There's power, but there's no signal. This is putting out signal. These don't put out power so much, they put out signal. Okay? There is no signal there. It's not reaching the light, but it's here. What does that tell us? That tells us we have a DMX cable that is bad. Little thing to understand, guys. In lights, most of the time, it's going to be a bad cable or some type of operator error. Happens a lot. What if you have no lights working? Huh. Oh, gee, that's never happened. You go to your Opti splitter and you can see right here, there's no power anywhere, no signal anywhere. You have power, but not necessarily any signal at all. So that means the plug into the wall is working great, but something's wrong between here and here. That could be a setting inside of the board, or it could be a cable. If it's a setting in the board, again, it's more than likely operator error. Having your Opti splitter right next to your power distribution makes troubleshooting easier, makes setup easier, and makes breakdown easier. Watch this. It is very easy to build a snake. 2 cables built into one, a snake. On this one, we've got our power. Here we've got our DMX. We're going to take a cable. Believe me, I got a ton of these. From 4 feet to 20 feet to 25 to 50 to 100. We're going to put a piece of Velcro about every foot apart, preferably in black, not gray. Keep it camouflaged. Every foot apart. And the ends I just showed you, they get plugged in. Power, DMX Opti splitter, and then you're going to run down to your stand. This is going to supply the power. This is going to supply the DMX. If the lights on your stand get plugged into a power strip, that's what this goes into. That's what this goes into. I'm supposed to complete a sentence here. That's what this goes into, the power strip. Or it's going to go into the first light if the lights are power through and they have ins and outs. Same thing with this. The first light's going to have a line running down, preferably to meet up with this line so they're both next to each other, and it's going to plug into there. As the lights are all daisy chained with DMX, we know we're daisy chaining. All right, guys, this has been Understanding Opti Splitters, Opto Splitters, however you want to pronounce it. And our next video, next week, is going to be understanding and working with dual universes. That's when it's all going to come together between this lesson and that lesson. That's going to be real good for you. But first, don't forget, this show is Marshmallow approved, always has been, always will be. Remember to hit that like button and that subscribe button so we can bring you some more videos, because we want to teach you how to rock some lights. Hasta la vista, baby.